Welcome to Julie's Wreath Boutique. Tonight I'm going to show you how to make this adorable buffalo plaid wreath. We did use just a little bit of this fabric mesh in it, and I did use the, what do I call it? The double fuse method that I showed you in the last wreath video that I did for you guys. If this looks familiar, it's because I have done a Facebook Live video on this, but I wanted to kind of give you a more condensed wreath video and easier to follow. I know that Facebook Lives can be kind of difficult to follow. So what did we use? We used one roll of 10-inch poly burlap red, one roll of 10-inch poly burlap black, and one roll of the 10-inch fabric mesh of the buffalo plaid. And I will always leave a link in the description below with all the supplies. I also will have my Amazon store link for any of the supplies that I use there. So let's get started and make a beautiful wreath. The first process here is that I need to cut the mesh. And as you can see, I have a wood burning tool here. And I do have the link to this in my Amazon store. And my Amazon store is always linked below in the description box. But I use the wood burner because basically what it does is it melts down and cuts your mesh. And one of the most frequently asked questions I get is, how do you keep your wreath from fraying? Well, it's not that they don't fray, but when you use this method, it reduces that fraying immensely. So you're basically just going to be very careful, wear a mask, be in a well-ventilated area. This does put off a smell. And what I do is I just use this, and this is like the flat edge point, and I go in between the two lines here. And even though I'm cutting it, I'm not really cutting it at a complete square. I just keep it with, as you can see, there's probably smoke coming off, but I do keep it with the line, and I try not to cross over it. So basically what that does is that it melts it. So for this wreath today, this is a red and black wreath, and it's a red and black buffalo check. And if you watched my new double petal fuse technique, I showed you how you could take a poly burlap piece and a deco mesh or deco poly piece, and you could cut it together. Well, this is fabric mesh is what I'm going to be using for this wreath. And even though this isn't really going to fuse together, but what I liked about using this method together was this, is that probably the biggest pet peeve when I make this wreath is having to layer these two. So if I can cut them together and already have them layered, that's just perfect. And later on in the video, you'll see why. So I'm just going to cut this. It's not going to fuse together quite like the deco poly mesh and the poly burlap mesh. But it will still cut. Now, not all fabric meshes can be cut with a wood burner, so you really have to test it out and see if it works beforehand. So I'm going to cut some of these, and when we're at the end, I'll know exactly how many petals I'll use in the middle. But I know I need to cut at least 10 black, and I need to cut 20 of my red, and I'm going to cut them at 10 inches long a piece. And this is just a 10-inch roll. So we'll be right back with the next step. So we have all the mesh cut now, so I want to get started in putting this wreath together. What I did, and I know that if you've watched me for any length of time, all you need to do is get a 10-inch wreath form or a 12-inch wreath form, or even a Dollar Tree wreath form, and some of this plastic canvas, and you can make a wreath. It's a very economical way to make a wreath, and it's a great way to hang the wreath because you have a place from these wire rims to hang them. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start putting my petals, and you've seen this method before from me. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Glad to have you here. But we're basically going to put we have brackets, okay? And because this is a 10-inch wreath form, there's 5 brackets. So in between each of these brackets, we're going to put 2 red, and then on the cross wire, we're going to put 1 black. So I'm going to put 2 red here, 2 red here, and the same all the way around, and then a black, a black, a black, and all the way around. Basically, what I want you to remember is that the wreath form has 4 wires. We're going to name this 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the first layer of petals, we're going to use wire 2. Okay, we are not going to use wire 4. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my zip tie, put it underneath wire 2. I'm going to make my petal. You just take the curved ends up, meet in the middle, gather, flip it over, and then I simply bring it up and place it on my wreath. Okay, so let's do that one more time. I'm going to take the petal, I'm going to meet in the middle, I'm going to gather it, I'm going to flip it over. I usually put my 2 fingers in between the middle section here, and then I fold it inwards. So this petal, which is usually to me the right petal, is going to go underneath the left petal. And this point now, I'm going to squeeze and put where my zip tie is. I'm going to take my wire cutters here and just cut them like that. And then I'm going to do 2 more petals here. And then I'm going to add a black one right here. So let's just go ahead and put the black one. Same method, nothing different here. Just going to layer it on top of each other there and pull it. So I'm going to go ahead and finish the whole first row of my petals, and we'll come back and we'll do the second row. So I have the first row done, and as you can see, we variegated with the black, 2 petals, black, 2 petals, black, and so forth. So my point in showing you this wreath is you can use different colors together of your choice to make something really pretty. And so I'm going to show you the next point here, and it's pretty much basically the same as we were doing before, but I'm going to kind of switch up the way we're going to lay them. So now we're not going to worry about these brackets, but we're going to work in the sections. And I'm going to put 3 petals in each section, and we're going to work on bar 3. Remember I talked about bars 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you're going to make your petal. I'm going to take a red one first. I'm going to make my petal, lay it in between, and then I'm going to go, oops, just grab some zip ties there. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to go to the other side by the bracket, but not on the bracket, and I'm going to lay another red petal. And I'm going to show you why I'm doing it this way to kind of explain it. Okay. We're going to put a black petal in between these 2 reds. And the reason why I wanted to do it that way is I want the black to show more. I want it to kind of be more prominent. And that's why I do it that way. Sometimes I will do it all in a row if it's just the same color, and I just keep this under petal overlapping. But because I'm using 2 different colors here, I really want to make sure that you can see that black kind of pop through. Okay, so all I'm going to do is I'm going to keep repeating this process. I'm going to go all the way around, and then I'm going to come back and show you the middle. All right, so we have the second row of petals coming through, and as you can just see little hints of black once we put everything on. So the next step is we're going to do a different petal technique in the middle, and we're going to come in a little bit more on our actual frame. So we're not going to end up using wire 4, but we are going to come in and let's see, I would say about 1.5 inches. Yep, 1.5 inches from that 4th wire. I'm going to put my first zip tie here, and I'm going to use black this time. So remember how we cut our petals together? This is that new fusible technique, and it will fuse it together slightly. I just feel like the deco mesh fuses better than fabric mesh. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this, and this is what was always the frustrating part for me, is having to layer these pieces together. So now that I can cut them together, it just makes that process a little bit easier. So you're going to have the black side showing up. So this is the poly burlap side. I'm going to fold over to make a triangle. And so whatever side you want to show should be the one underneath. So at this point, you're just going to take it and you're going to gather it at the bottom here. You're going to take this petal. And this is a petal I learned from my friend Trish from Dean Michael Designs. I'll leave her channel below. Make sure to check it out. She calls this, I believe, her daisy petal. So what I do is I like this to have like a cup look. So I like to like shape it that way. And I'm just going to place it right in here. And I'm going to explain when we make the center of this wreath, why we're doing such, why we're coming inside this plastic grid by 1.5 inches, because we're doing a smaller center and we just want it to look nice. And we want to make sure that everything is covered in the middle. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep going through here and I'm going to put another petal beside this one. Just take your zip tie and run it through so it can just be sitting there waiting for you to do it. I have one petal already made here. So I'm just going to connect it and I'm just going to go ahead and finish the center petals. I think I'm going to use 8 petals, maybe 9. I'm not sure. We'll see when we put it all together and we will come back and we will work on the very center of our wreath. So we have the wreath itself made and as you can see, it's nice and tight in there and it's really coming along here. So now we're going to work on the middle. I'm taking a 4-inch round foam circle ball and I cut it in half. You could use, I've also used like a 3.8-inch, but when I went to the store, all they had was the 4-inch at Joann, so that's what we're going to use. So I'm going to take my glue gun and I'm going to just put a little bit of glue in the center here. And you need to be careful because this is hot. And I'm going to take this ribbon that I get at Hobby Lobby. You can find this in the ribbon aisle, and even though it's rope, it's still considered ribbon. And it's from the Robert Stanley collection. It's 15 feet long. It's $9.99 normally, but it's half price every other week, so make sure you get it half price. So I do this a lot, and I introduced this to y'all probably 1.5 years ago, but we're going to take a piece here and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just help secure this with a little T-pen. This is what they use with quilting, and I'm just going to run that down. Be careful, I just touched the glue. I'm going to run that down, but what I will make sure that I do is that I will make sure I will go over this part. I'm going to show this a little bit closer. I'm going to wrap this around, put the glue around it, make sure that I go over that pen. But I just that kind of helps center it, I guess, is basically what I want to say. So I'm going to put a little bit more glue. I'm going to go over top of it because we want to cover that bottom, the cut part up. All right, so this is where you're going to just really, you're going to be very careful and you're going to kind of hold it there for a moment. All right. And that way you get it all the way around. You need to be very focused with it and be careful. I'm going to put this around here. And as I go around it, I'm just ever slightly going over top of the existing rope, okay? Always gets little white things in there, but it's black, so it attracts everything, anything white. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to just keep adding glue and I'm going to keep wrapping this around. And I will come back and show you how I finish it off on the bottom, just so that you have a really good understanding how to make your own. So, and it just takes some time. You got to just kind of hold this here. And I'm just going to keep going around and around, and I will be back in a moment. Okay, so I'm at the end, and you pretty much have to, you got to press it down because you don't want any of that white to show through. And you could paint this ball black with black paint. The way I end it is I just put a little bit of glue up here, and I will put my rope right on top of that. And it doesn't hurt to take a pen and put it in there. Since it's a dome, it's got lots of room to go. And then I just take a piece of felt, and I will also just help secure that piece to stay right there. Man, that's hot. I can hear it crackling the foam. It's kind of funny. I've never heard it do that before. And then I'll just take another pen and go down there. So that way we know it's not going to go anywhere. And then we're basically going to do the same thing here with the way that we're going to connect it. I'm going to take a piece of wire and I just simply put it in the middle here. Take some floral pens and we're going to just go down there into the foam. Let's see here. And then I'm going to take another piece of felt and put some more glue on it and go over those pieces that we just put in. And this is just going to help keep everything in place. I don't know, can you hear it crackle? And then I'm just going to take, again, some more pens and help secure it that way. And I will leave a link below. I like to use the Wreath shop, and you can order, hopefully they'll have 10-inch poly burlap and they'll have this fabric mesh. But I will leave my affiliate link with them. And if you'd like to shop there, it doesn't cost you anything extra, but I do get a little bit of a commission. But they are just a really nice company to order through. So we're going to pull this up. And now we're going to just take it and put it in the center of our wreath. So even though you can't see that grid, that wire can go right through the mesh. So we're going to do that. We're going to pull it through. See a piece of white foam. All right, so yeah, that looks really good. So I'm going to just take it on this side and I'm going to just twist it really good. And this is the wreath. And this has two different petal techniques. I did cut, remember I cut the poly burlap and the fabric mesh together. Some fabric meshes can't be cut with that, and that's okay, guys. You just can't always do that method with it. But we're just gonna move this over. And that is our wreath. I think it's really pretty. And also, I would also like to add that doing this method and this fabric mesh, say you only had one roll of it, but you wanted to make several wreaths. Well, I only use 8 petals of this, so I could end up using this on 3 wreaths, one roll of this. So sometimes when you don't have a lot of one particular product, doing something like this kind of gives you the flexibility to be able to reproduce something again. Say you made one for your door and your mom wants one, or your friend wants one, or if you want to start selling them, you know, it's really great to be able to reproduce what you make. And that's how you honestly make money doing stuff like this, when you can reproduce your work. So if you've made it this far into this video, I always ask you guys to watch, to leave me an emoji. Leave me, let's see here, what could we ask for? A red heart or a black heart, because we did a red and black wreath tonight. Make sure you follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. Make sure you click on that notification bell to make sure that you are getting alerted when I upload a video. And make sure, if you haven't subscribed, make sure to hit that subscribe button, because we'd love to have you come with us on our journey of creating something pretty. I will see you next time on Julie's Wreath Boutique. Bye-bye.